I'm not like a big racing game guy. To be honest, I think I'm pretty bad at racing games. Not much of a racist. Is that what racers are called? I won't lie. I'm not an expert in the English language, but that doesn't seem right. You're also bad at fighting games. I'm still better than you, Kenny, you old bitch. I'm going to take a sip after that one. That one felt good. Anyway, I wanted to talk about streaming and burnout today. I wanted to talk about a tweet. There's a few tweets that I've seen recently. One is this tweet. The other is I saw Leffen tweeting a little bit about burnout as well and some of the frustrations about streaming. But I saw Zero's tweet. I also saw a couple of clips from a few other streamers. Like one of them was Dan's Gaming. One of them was a few other people talking about some of the effects of streaming all the time. What are these Twitter trends, man? Is this what happens when you follow Sonic Fox? You get the Fursuit Friday. Not surprising that Southern California has gifted me these trends. The point of this is, I've talked a lot about streaming and creating stuff and my thoughts on this, and I wanted to talk a little bit about it. One thing that I think is interesting is I think for a lot of streamers, they are people who maybe who haven't done a lot of freelancing before. There's a lot of people who are streamers that haven't managed themselves as a freelancer and thought about how to take breaks and thought about how to keep yourself from burning out and thought about how to prevent yourself from just becoming super, super frustrated with the constant grind, the work all the time. I mean, for me, someone like me, right? I work pretty much every day. It's part of being a freelancer. You will end up having some work to do every day. It is sort of expected in a freelance space that you are always available. People will expect to be able to contact you and reach out to you and ask you to do stuff. And often, it's not something that's in the future. It's like, hey, I know it's a holiday or a Sunday or a Saturday at 5 p.m., but I need to get a hold of you right now to talk to you about an event I want you to do in 6 days. It's a little different, obviously, depending on what kind of freelancer you are and depending on if you're a streamer or whatever it is. That is something that will always happen, sort of, as someone who freelances, and it's just kind of the way it is. It's something you just kind of have to deal with, and it sucks sometimes. Sometimes it's nice, sometimes it sucks. But in the topic of streaming, one thing that I think is maybe important is to get some perspective about how the burnout goes. You see Zero saying, it's crazy how unhealthy it is to stream for a living in today's competitive market. Already the word competitive, I think, worries me a bit. And he says, you have to stream for insane hours with no breaks because breaks cost you viewers and relevancy. Already, I think that maybe that's a misconception. Every time I talk to anybody at Twitch, they tell me the opposite, actually. When it comes to streaming on Twitch, breaks for ads and breaks for the viewer and break for that kind of stuff is important. And even if your viewership goes down, taking breaks to run ads and stretch and get on your feet and stuff like that is very important, actually. If you don't do that stuff, you're, first of all, losing money. But second of all, like, the constant pace of content is like, very stressful. He says, feels worse physically to stream 8 hours than to do motocross or an intense workout. Streaming for a long time sucks. Yeah, it's like anything. Sitting in a chair for forever sucks. He says, I really felt terrible right now after streaming about 28 hours in 2 days. But it just kind of feels like I have to. I think I took 2 breaks of 5 minutes in those 28 hours. Both breaks combined cost me about 1,000 viewers. It's some real shit. Stream performed amazingly, though. This is what worries me, I think. When I think about burnout and I think about streaming and stuff, one of the big things is, why did he stream 28 hours in 2 days? It's because obviously, I guess something came out big. I would guess Pokemon or something, right? So he's been streaming Pokemon. He feels like he needs to grind. He feels like he has to do this. And I don't think that that's the case. I think the longer you stream, when you stream these 14 hours a day streams and stuff like that, sure, the money you make and the viewership you have is high and stuff, but also the chances of you wanting to stream for a long time and wanting to continue streaming after that are going to be horrible, which is why he says he feels terrible. It's not healthy. You can't stream 14 hours a day every day. I think one of the things you have to recognize as a streamer is that you have to manage your own time and you have to realize what's healthy for you. Like, I think that there's a perception here where he says he feels like he has to stream 14 hours and not take breaks. And anytime he takes breaks, it costs him viewers and that's costing him money and all that kind of stuff. The thing is that your stream is not the same people for those 14 hours. It's people cycling in and out, right? And they're going to come in and leave or whatever anyway. It's sort of normal. Every time you run a break, it's a chance for you to get up, stretch, tell your viewers to stretch, you run an ad, you get revenue that way. And even though you lose viewership, right, it's something that you need to do as a viewer and in the long run is okay for the stream. And I think that this is probably just maybe his nature, that he feels the need to grind the stream. When I saw Leffen's tweets about it, I think I kind of got the same sentiment, that they both feel like You have to keep grinding. You have to keep improving. You have to keep going. And streaming is not like that, I think. People don't realize that the longer you stream doesn't like directly equal the same amount of growth as a streamer, the same amount of increase in subscribers, the same amount of increase in all this other stuff, right? It's not directly related to the two things. It's diminishing returns. I don't know how many subs Zero has, but let's say, he's got a lot of subs. He's a big streamer. Let's say he has 7,000 subscribers, right? And by streaming, I don't know, 28 hours, 14 hours a day, he's at 7,000 subscribers, and that's where he stays at. And let's say, for instance, that he's making, $2.50 per sub, which, some big streamers get more than that, right? I'd be very surprised if that's the case. But for this simple math, let's just say he's making that, right? He's streaming, let's say, 8 hours a day. Even without counting in donations, counting in any of that kind of stuff, counting in anything else, right? He'll make $17,000 a month. He's streaming 8 hours a day or 12 hours a day, and he's burning out. He's feeling rough. He's struggling. $200,000 a year. Now, let's say Zero says, you know what? Streaming 14 hours a day like that is very, very stressful, and it's burning him out, and he feels like, well, I can't do it, blah, blah, anything like that. So instead of streaming that 14 hours a day or the 12 hours a day or whatever, he cuts it down to like 6 hours a day or 7 hours a day or 5 hours a day, something that he feels is better for him. He can keep up the same schedule, but he cuts it down from 8 hours on average to 6 hours or 5 hours, right? And let's say his subs are going to take a hit, right? They're going to go down from 7,000, and let's say they go down from 7,000 to 5,500. That's a pretty big drop. That's a huge drop, right? And let's say he's now making 13,000 a month instead of 17,000 a month, which is $165,000 a year. I know it sounds like a huge amount of money. It is a huge amount of money. Your day-to-day life does not change drastically if you go from making $165,000 a year to $200,000 a year. You're already doing what you want with this much money. You already are living just fine with this much money. Your day-to-day life will not change. And I think it's very hard to recognize that's the case sometimes, right? Is all this extra suffering and grinding and all this kind of stuff worth risking the burnout? You know what I mean? If you stream and you make $200,000 a year, but you're burning out, you feel horrible, you feel super bad, etc. But you now cut your stream in half, or you cut your stream down by 3-4 hours, and you make $165,000 a year instead, or whatever it is. Don't you now feel like you can stream 2 years, 3 years, 5 years at this rate, and you feel okay about it? You know what I mean? Your lifestyle is not going to change drastically at this level. At this level, the amount of money you're earning, you have to go to a crazy increase to really feel it. You have to also remember that part of this is realizing the level of burnout that you will obtain streaming the way he streams is not going to be, it's not lasting, right? You can't stream like this and continue streaming every day and just feel okay. It's why he hasn't streamed on his Twitch in 7 days. To get back to actually what we're getting at here, my point is that I think it's very difficult as someone he's competitive in nature and the way he does stuff. What the issue is here is, you need to recognize as a freelancer, you can work every minute of the day if you like. You can work as from the time I wake up to the time I go to sleep. I could work every single hour of the day. That doesn't mean that I will be able to do that for a long time. That also doesn't mean that I should be doing that the whole time. Your value is not strictly in the amount of hours you stream each day. And there has to be, as a freelancer, a sort of limiter you put on yourself that prevents you from working constantly, or you will burn out. It's just going to happen. He has the feeling that if he stops streaming, his audience will leave him. If he doesn't stream as much, he can't keep up with people. He's worried about losing subs. He's worried about this. The reality is, right, you have to do something that's a balance that fits for you. And I think he will realize that if he streamed 6 hours instead of 8 hours, the difference in money he makes is worth having an extra 14 hours a week to live his life, right? And I think that this balance is probably tough for someone like Zero, who's an extremely competitive person. Why do you think I stream 4 hours a day, 5 days a week? I take weekends off. I could make a lot more money. I'd have a lot more subs if I streamed 8 hours a day and I streamed 6 days a week, right? But at the cost of my sanity. And not only that, everything that I make on stream, I want to do. And I really am happy doing it. And if you force yourself to slog through this kind of stuff as a freelancer, what ends up happening is you just feel the burnout, you feel frustrated, you feel like you're working too much, you don't feel happy anymore. You have to decide if your sanity is worth the extra amount of hours you're putting in, you know? When I do analysis streams, I can only stream for about 3 or 4 hours. I can do about 4 hours of analysis before my brain is fried. That's about the limit I've got. As soon as I hit that limit of 4 hours, if I don't take a break, my analysis becomes bad. I become tired. I'm frustrated. Like, my brain is out of it. I snap easier because my brain is just overworked. Yeah, my point on that is I think it's dangerous as a freelancer, particularly when you make it this big, to keep chasing the next goal at the cost of your sanity, at the cost of your social life, at the cost of your health, at the cost of many other things. You just need to recognize that people love your stuff. And if you force yourself to grind through burnout, people will like your stuff less, because when you're creating stuff you care about and you love, people will tune in and watch it. And if you're ever creating stuff that you're just frustrated, you're like, well, I have to keep doing this. Okay, well, I have to grind this and this and that. Like, it's going to wear you down, and it's going to do something like we see here where, I mean, I go to Zero's Twitch, right? And I go to his past broadcasts, and his last stream was 7 days ago, and it was 12 hours long, and the day before that was 15 hours long. On the other hand, imagine if Zero streamed 6 hours a day or something, right? And he was able to keep streaming because he didn't feel the burnout. That is a much smaller loss in money than stopping streaming for 1 week. That's why I never feel the urge to do more streams unless I want to, because I have tried to do longer and more streams, and the noticeable increase that you get on subs and viewers and all that kind of stuff is not the same that you would expect. People will tune in at the time that they know you start or are streaming each day to say what up, watch for a bit, and then they're going to bounce. People constantly rotate in and out. I don't feel that pressure because I know that it's better for me and my content and my viewers that I let myself work, rest, come home and stream again. The thing is that I've freelanced for years now, and I remember when Mortal Kombat X came out, I decided I was going to do character breakdowns for every single character in the game. The game launched with 28 characters. I had the game before it came out because I went to a mom and pop shop and got the game there early, like 4 days early. And I decided that by the first week of the game's launch, I was going to have breakdowns for all 28 characters in the game. What I did is I woke up and I sat down and I learned a character in training mode, wrote the script, filmed the video, edited the video, started the render for the video. While the video was rendering, went into training mode with the next character and began filming and recording stuff for that character. And I literally did that for 12 or 13 hours a day for 4 or 5 days straight. And it ended up creating some of the most popular content that I've ever put out on my channel, right? It was all super popular. It's what grew my YouTube channel quite a bit, actually. But the amount of burnout after made me not want to play Mortal Kombat at all. It was so hard to even look at the game after spending all that time on. Like, before the game had even come out, I had spent 60 hours grinding content for it. So by the time the game was actually in my hands and I got to like play it as someone who just wanted to be a fan, I was sick of it already. I felt horrible. Even looking at it made my head hurt. I think about the stuff that I did this time for MK instead, and I'm like, man, you know, it was way less stressful. It was something that I wanted to do. It's something that I didn't feel pressured to do. And like, because of that, my feelings towards the game and my ability to create stuff for it and stream it and hang out and like watch it and stuff is so much better than MKX. So I feel for someone like Zero, and I feel for someone like Leffen who feels the urge to continue grinding. As I say this, Leffen is live right now, streaming Ultimate, trying to grind for the subs. I feel him. And I feel for everybody who is a freelancer, because being a freelancer sucks. Whether you're a freelancer who grinds all day and makes $0 or $1 million, like either way, it's a stressful lifestyle. Yeah, I like being a freelancer too. It's the best feeling in the world to wake up and know that all the decisions I make about everything that I want to do are my choice. And whatever I want to work on and whatever I want to pursue or follow is up to me. I don't have to rely on anybody else. If I want to wake up and do something today, I can just go do it. If I want to go fly to Japan tomorrow, like I can just go fly to Japan tomorrow and I don't have any obligations. But that freedom is counterbalanced by the constant work and stress and lack of stability that comes with being a freelancer, which is just something it comes with the territory, unfortunately. Anyway, don't grind streaming so hard that it burns you out. That's the worst thing you could do. The beginning of this year, I burnt out, and it's what made me a streamer, actually. The reason I stopped attending as much events is because I had burnout from attending 40 events or whatever it was. last year. And then it's, I feel much better for it. It's been the most fascinating thing I've ever done. Are you telling me the last 2 months I haven't been able to use my hands at all? These things have been useless. This is like Japanese netcode. They just don't exist. It's like, whoop, don't even think about it. And I've still been able to stream for the last 2 months. And it's been great. Like, I've had no problems with it. You gotta be careful, man. The thing is for me is that I don't worry that much about the numbers, but I love looking at them, if that makes any sense. I find the Twitch analytics and statistics and stuff fascinating, but I also don't care too much about whether my stream has 700 viewers or 1,000 viewers or 1,100 viewers or whatever it is. As long as I'm doing something that I like and I'm creating something cool, I'm fine either way. Yeah, my chat room is also relatively relaxed. I think one thing on Twitch is that you should try to cultivate a chat room that you like looking at. And it's up to you whether you want that to just be a massive, shithole where everybody is allowed to be a bag of dicks, or you have a chat room where people actually are normal humans. Like, you can just make that choice yourself. Yeah, AJ, that's the funny thing about viewership too. I think a lot of streamers look at big streamers and they're like, wow, this guy has 30,000 views. I can only get 50. And I'm like, bro, you got 50 viewers. Like, people don't realize that 10 viewers is really sick, and 30 viewers is fantastic, and 50 viewers is mad good. 100 viewers is insane, right? Mellow dropping the Twitch Prime is fucking incredible. Like, you have to realize just how, mind-bogglingly awesome it is to have that many viewers hang out with you. Yeah, it's exactly like that. Imagine an auditorium with 700 people in it and me standing up there with the microphone talking. 700 people is a lot of people to put in one room. You know when you get nervous, you're in a classroom with 30 people, and you're like, shit, I don't want to stand up and walk to sharpen my pencil. There's 30 people in here, and if they see me, you know what I mean? You're like, oh, fuck. Imagine if there was 700 people in that room. That's insanity. It's the hand crank. Oh, yeah, you got to put the hand crank and just trying to fucking crank this pencil. And you look back and your pencil's fucking this big now from that. And you're like, what? It didn't even get sharp. How the fuck did this happen?